Friends, good evening, and thank you for joining us on this latest edition of Live at Night Soccer Talk. You can flip that. Soccer Talk Live at Night. I'm Alex Parra. It's great to be with you. It's a late evening tonight. We got a late start to the last match of today in the World Cup, the Mexico match in Mexico City. That obviously is a hot topic that we will be discussing. But thanks to all you that are joining us. We appreciate it, following us via Deportes Nation X, Deportes Nation YouTube, Deportes Nation Facebook as well. And we really appreciate all of you that are joining us. 11:30 Houston time. But you know what? That's all right. We don't need sleep. As Victor Araiza says, we will sleep soon, and we will be missing this. Day number 20, by the way, of our coverage. Today, Tuesday, June 30th. I have to read the date, honestly, because sometimes all of these days run into each other. Several introductions before we get started. I guess because we're celebrating what happened in Mexico, some of us. The 1986 official ball, Azteca. 1986, the winner, Argentina. Second place, West Germany at the time. France and Belgium in third and fourth place, respectively. So give you a little history of the World Cup as well. A lot to talk about, less about Alex Parra or our friend tonight here. Why don't we bring in the ones and onlys? I hope I'm saying that in proper English. Someone's going to correct me. Now you see them in the center square, and we have to introduce them first. The winner of many awards. Now I'm being told I have to read a different script every night. It's not just Emmy award winning Enrique Vasquez. It's just the voice and winner of many awards, Don Enrique Vasquez. Enrique, good evening. How are you? It's almost morning, by the way.
Hey, yeah, talk about winning, right? It only took 40 years for Mexico to win another knockout match, and that's what we're celebrating today. But, man, you know what? What a game. What a game that they played. They're certainly playing much better on the offensive end. They continue to keep the clean sheet for the tournament. That has been impressive. Raquel was only tested really one time today. The best they've looked in a very long time, and obviously the best they've looked in a World Cup for sure, in maybe ever. You know, when they won in '86 against Bulgaria, it was almost a barely win. This one they controlled from the very beginning and just never let up.
Never let up. It was a convincing victory. The first 30 minutes, the first half of that game, something honestly we have never seen in that way, and there's more to come. We also welcome in the one and only. There you see him today on the far side of the screen, Victor Araiza. Victor, good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. I thought you were going to put a little bit more into that introduction, Alex, whenever you were introducing Enrique, you know?
Yeah.
The Tower of Power, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour.
And Victor's here. Go ahead, Victor. What do you got?
No, I'm on board with Enrique. This is it's almost surreal to see Mexico play this good, because we're not used to everybody usually complains. Because on paper you think they're France, right? I mean, and even better maybe because they haven't conceded a goal through 4 games. Every game they seem to find a way to get it done. Ecuador didn't look like they, were that big of a threat as for whatever we were worrying about. But again, I think just historically, because Mexico is what's the term I'm looking for here without being as expletive? He has
disappointed,
encountered difficulties. Yeah. And
they tend to wet the
kind of let it go by the wayside. There you go. That's
overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah, a good friend of ours, Alex, today, Danny Gonzalez asked me, "Are you nervous heading into the match today?" I said, "Not really, because you almost expect that Mexico is just going to lose." So I was like, I don't want to be completely disappointed, but it was everything the opposite of Victor.
Yeah, and you want to be ready for when things begin to go south, but then it never. It's almost like that Astros run in 2017, right?
Right.
Where you're just kind of waiting for them to H-town it, and then it doesn't happen, and then you kind of just, is this really going on, And of course, they still got to get through a couple rounds to match their best ever finish, which is quarterfinals. This was an extra knockout game because of the expanded format. So while they got to the 5th game, it really isn't the quinto partido. The quinto partido traditionally is getting to the quarterfinals. And so now they're in the round of 16, which is where they've always achieved. So, and we still have to see who they get. But it's it's amazing to see how they just seem to get it done every game. The fortress that Azteca has become for them, and I mean just in the sense of it's such a celebratory environment. They seem to be able to click on all cylinders, and you just wonder at what point is the clock going to strike midnight. But hopefully not soon.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add, but you know, when you consider the roster and the team that they have on the field, when was the last player of the nature of Gilberto Mora, a young kid who's dynamic, who doesn't shy away from anything, who takes chances, who's technically really sound, he plays fast, he's aggressive. When is the last, you know, when you go back and, you know, Luis Hernandez, he had a little spark, but he wasn't the technical wizard that Mora is. You know, the solid, you know, consistent players like Benjamin Galindo or Alberto Garcia, Luis Garcia, but nobody really of this dynamic in I don't know, ever in the World Cups. Victor, Alex, help me think back through the years. When has Mexico had a player who can really just carry a team and change a game just himself with his speed, with his touch, with his cleverness? And that's what it has to excite Mexico, not only for now, but down the road. I mean, he's only 17 years old, for God's sake.
Well, that's the key. I mean, when you say carry a team, that's maybe nobody. But right. I guess the youngest might be Guardado in 2006. And he was contributing. But again, he wasn't really having the same impact. And in this case, just something else. And again, it maybe just the naiveness, the fearlessness of just trying something, which I don't know why for these grown men, it's such a hard thing. And I'm not just talking about Mexico, Germany yesterday, you know, it's like somebody just take a shot, try something, be creative. Don't be afraid to fail. It's almost seemed like this whole sport has been over, you know, again, I'm running out of words, but just we've talked about over conservative, passing it around, not Victor, taking as many risks.
Ecuador at the end of the first half. How do you have a corner kick and don't even have a cross, and you run out of time with the ball there just at the end?
And you had nothing to lose.
Right.
I guess that's why I was worried about Ecuador, because I'm like, these guys have nothing to lose. They're playing with house money. They were damn near eliminated by, you know, if not for Germany kind of putting in a B team, they get through. It was an emotional win, so they got a bit of momentum. Then Mexican fans go and you know, keep them up all night, or you know, there's that whole ordeal in the past 24 hours. You know, and I thought they were, where I was a little worried was, one, Mexico fans don't have to do that, because I think Mexico's been playing well enough. But then the other side is, why would you give these guys some motivation? Why would you want to, you know, rattle the cages, right, of guys who, you know, they got one of Chelsea's, the Premier League's best player in Caicedo. They got a guy who's a couple guys who play in Liga MX, Valencia, Pedro Vite. And why would you give them, you know, more just material to use? But then Ecuador never seemed to live up to it. So,
This Enrique, this Victor is a different Mexico in relative to what? To previous national teams, to previous World Cup teams, and in a good way, in a humble way, in a way where, you know what, it really is about the team from my perspective. And I'm an outsider. I don't pretend to have the insights. The team is what's important, and I sense that. I see that in the play. I see that also in the freedom you spoke of, Enrique Vasquez, the freedom of not being afraid to make a mistake, not being afraid and uptight. Often I think the pressure on all national teams, and certainly in Mexico, is that everything you do is going to be magnified. The criticism just explodes. You make one mistake and they're on you. Maybe a way to eliminate that is to let go of the egos and also let go of the hey, what do we got to lose? Let's keep going. Let's keep working. So I saw 30 minutes, and by the way, 15 minutes of tonight's match, Mexico dominating. So, Enrique, you referred to Bulgaria. You referred to previous success at the World Cup. This wasn't just by luck. This wasn't just by barely getting there. It was a definitive win. And Mexico continue, Victor, carrying momentum going into now the round of 16, playing better than Canada. We want to see United States, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I'll start with you, Victor. Can Mexico continue to grow? I mean, they have all the ingredients are there. The young talent, the support. They also have, I think, this new mentality. Am I wrong about that aspect of it?
No, no, they certainly have a lot of upside, and a lot of it is because they've had so many struggles in attack. That was the big question mark,
Yeah.
even heading into this game, is how are they going to create chances? When they create chances, are they going to put them away? Um, I always thought, okay, Quinones is your best player. That's probably the guy that's got to spearhead it, and he did today. Um, Raul Jimenez, how can you unlock him? Because historically, he hasn't had the best luck at the World Cup. He finally got that monkey off his back in the first game, but how do you get him more of the ball? How do you get it out wide? I mean, that service from Romo, where
Yeah.
Jimenez could have had the opening goal. And that's the other thing. I mean, Vasco Aguirre is known to be pragmatic, conservative, defensive, any word you want to use. And in the first, 15, 20, 30 minutes, I mean, they were go, go, go. They were trying to get in front. They're just an inspired side right now. I think a lot of it has to do being the host country, having the people behind you, living it in your own country as well. And again, you wonder when it's going to run out eventually when they face a tougher side. Maybe if it's England after what we see tomorrow and for Sunday, and what that's going to be. But it almost seems like they can do no wrong.
And especially if they can start a game fast, Victor. If you take a lead early and you start to put the pressure on, then all of a sudden, you have that 12th man, the home field advantage that they seem to have had all tournament long so far. They put their foot down on Ecuador. They were never able to counter and took command of the match. And obviously, Ecuador is not going to be this next round. We would imagine. I think we're going to make a prediction a little bit later. I would imagine it's going to be England, right? Can you play the same style? Can you play the same attacking? Take the chances, knowing that England could certainly dictate a game to you, and that they are going to have people that can finish in the box. So. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to get harder from here on out. But hey, the way Mexico's playing, ECC is the theme that they are picking up in Mexico. Why not? Why not us? Sort of like what you hear with the U.S. side. So man, it's exciting to see, and certainly nothing that's been accomplished like that in our lifetime for Mexico at this level. So man, playing at home again a week from today, this Sunday, against perhaps England. It looks like it's going to be a tough challenge. But man, Mexico's playing really well.
They're playing really well. And Enrique, you mentioned number 19, Mora, the youth, the fun almost that he's having. Is it because he's too young to know what he doesn't know, and the pressure and the politics maybe haven't even gotten to him, and that innocence maybe is what we need more of versus the politics of Mexico and the frustration. Los ya merito of Mexican soccer. I'll start with you, Enrique. Maybe we need the 10 players like that that have no idea what they're doing relative to history, but they know how to play.
Man, just keep giving that kid orange slices after the game, and he's going to be happy. He's going to be happy doing his thing. Man, to think 17 years old, 17 years old, the U.S. doesn't quite have a player at that level at that age. Maybe there's some down the pipe that are coming up down the road for the next World Cup or two. But man, this is a kid and a talent that Mexico's been needing, and just his youth. I mean, that just has to invigorate everybody. If the kid can do this, and I can't be the one that's going to mess this up as a veteran on the roster. So that's what's exciting and energizing. That this is not something that we've seen on the Mexico roster on the field. Man, I don't know when the last player that was at this level, Hugo, who's maybe considered the best player for Mexico in the history of Mexican soccer. He never had this success with the national team. So, I mean, obviously they haven't won anything. He hasn't necessarily scored, but he has certainly been that spark that this team needed here offensively.
That said, Victor, you need still a combination of veterans, still a combination of people that can keep calm. Not that Mora wouldn't, but keep calm because of that experience and knowing when and how to use emotion and when to really pull back and be calm, cool, and collected. If things line up, Victor, where we're headed, which I think should be England, Mexico in the round of 16, it changes the equation for Mexico relative to the opponent, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other part of it is it's just the young legs. I mean, it's the guys that put in the work, and again, the way that he was taking chances, the fearlessness. And granted, you got an experienced manager. Vasco took him off when he needed to, right? And then he plugs in another young guy, Brian Gutierrez, and we can talk about that as well. I think because there's all these cultural things that come into play at a World Cup. A big part of it is Mexico tapping into the American talent that's developing that has ties to Mexico. For a while, it seemed like they were ignoring, right? Ricardo Pepi is on the U.S. roster. He probably wouldn't be there if Mexico had turned and taken an interest. I'm almost sure of it. Ricardo Pepi would have been a Mexico national team player. Alejandro Sendejas as well, who's playing very well for the U.S. But those are two guys that you could easily add to this roster and say that they could have been part of this World Cup squad. So you got Brian Gutierrez, who came out of the Chicago Fire, and now he's at Chivas. Ovid Vargas with the Seattle Sounders, and now he's at Atletico de Madrid. And these are the guys that are kind of spearheading this new wave. And again, players that have been brought up in, this is where you can throw flowers at the MLS Academy system and at certain ones, right? And how they've done things. Because the flip side of that is the young prodigy was supposed to be Diego Lainez. He was supposed to be the star of this World Cup 4 years ago, and he went to Europe and probably wanted to grow too quick, too fast in Spain, and missed out on this roster. And you wonder what the upside for Mora is. Maybe the closest comparison is probably a different position, but Rafa Marquez, who really young went to Europe and obviously became one of the better
defenders,
Mexican players of all time. But again, I think that there is that mix of young blood and some of the veterans. I mean, Raul Jimenez might not be the player of the past or that he was, but again, singular moment, he can change something for you. You got a mix of hilariously enough for me. And I was wondering, I wonder what Hugo Sanchez is thinking up there. And maybe he was only against forward coaches, but there was this movement at one time where they were like, no, it's got to be Mexican players. And unless you go, I guess, to a real rite of passage, you can't be a nationalized guy, right? But Quiñones has shown as much grit as anybody for a guy that people keep saying, well, he's Colombian. But, I mean, he played in Liga MX to some credit. He's probably spent more time in Mexico than maybe some even Mexican Americans, right, that would have the citizenship. And then the other one I want to mention real quick, Alvaro Fidalgo, who also nationalized, but was a factor in the last game, and is a guy that can come off the bench. And so you got a mix of a bunch of guys that, that can bring you different things. Rangel there, the goalie, had a bit of a nervy moment where I didn't think he was going to come off, but people were getting excited for Ochoa coming back and maybe having a couple moments and some magic. So,
but
Victor, no, please finish.
Yeah,
sir.
again, we'll see where it all ends, and for hopefully it won't end for a couple of weeks, but it's exciting, and again, you just kind of wonder where the limit is to this, because again, it's just the worries of the past, but that's why I kind of equated to the 2017 Astros team.
Should this have happened earlier, Enrique Vasquez? And I mean the transition to acceptance of a Quiñones, of a Mora, because they're not your traditional Mexican player that makes the national team with the politics, with the nationalism. I'm going to use that word carefully, but I think it's an important one. Where outsiders are now part of this. You know the resistance that's existed for decades, Enrique Vasquez. Almost like a modernization of what international football has become. I also see, Enrique, and I'm throwing the culture aspect, which we've discussed, Mexican Americans, American Mexicans. You now have this entire group, and I couldn't have said it any better than Victor, of all of these players. And it's not just 2 or 3, it's 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 now that have that caliber, that are young and have a choice. Maybe that choice, Enrique, has actually helped both teams, the United States team and the Mexican national team.
Yeah, and as much as we talk about how the soccer isn't developed here in the United States, we're talking about kids who grew up here and have the option to play in both countries, but they're growing up here.
Yeah.
So how many are being raised in Mexico and then developed through the systems there, and now coming to the American side? So but the cool thing is this: we've been talking on the show the last few weeks about what's this going to mean locally here for Houston, the MLS, and soccer in Houston and Texas in the United States. But what is this? These two national teams, Mexico, United States, and maybe even Canada, if they each win their upcoming match, with Canada already advancing, Mexico already advancing, the U.S. does the same. What is that going to do for CONCACAF? As the Texans have a little saying on some of the videos that they put together, iron sharpening iron. Is that the case for CONCACAF now, where they're going to pick up their level? What's the ramifications of these three host nations making a deep run in this tournament and maybe bringing new respect for this region? Because obviously, for the most part, a year ago we were saying, man, the three hosts, they're going to be knocked out in the first round. It's going to be just so disappointing, and it's been completely the opposite of that for all three of them. So what is this going to mean? Obviously we've had the discussion about what's going to happen in Houston, specifically the MLS and the Dynamo, but what's going to happen if these three nations do well for CONCACAF and what they're accomplishing right now?
Victor, I'll let you take that one. And that's a question we're all asking ourselves.
Yeah, well, they certainly got to advance past the round of 16. I mean, they can't just get to that stage and leave it there. They got to be, I would even say, semifinals, because they got to be among the last remaining confederations. I think we all expect the European team, if not a couple, to probably be among the last four. An African team got to the semifinals last time. If they get another one this time around. South America obviously is always a contender. So I think that's, for them to really get respect around the world, I think they have to make it far, especially being the host countries, right? The host region. I think that's what they have to do. But certainly for what it means, the rivalry regionally, this is bragging rights, and this is why people can criticize people like me that root for Mexico and the United States at the same time. But for me, unfortunately, it's not, pressure's not going to come from Central America. Costa Rica is probably the country that has the most resources, even though Panama's had the most success currently. But those countries aren't going to be able to challenge and compete with Mexico and the United States and maybe even Canada. So the competition has to come from Mexico, U.S., and Canada's, right there as a third. And the further they can get, the better for the entire region, because especially the U.S. and Mexico have that rivalry. Hey, if Mexico gets to the quarterfinals and the U.S. didn't, it's going to be like, well, you guys couldn't even make it, right? Or the semifinals. I mean, that'll be bragging rights for the next 4 years. And you can talk about Gold Cup, you can talk about Nations League, but the World Cup is the top standard. And I think certainly that would lift the region if one of these nations can go the distance of a long distance.
Did you like that answer, Enrique Vasquez? I'm just wondering.
Absolutely.
You posted. I like it. I think it makes sense. Is this a new era, Enrique? I mean, I'm seeing all those ingredients of something changing. We saw the performance today for Mexico. We're seeing, and we'll talk about it here shortly, the United States with a great opportunity. We talked about the African success in getting to the round of 32, but three host nations, CONCACAF. Might this be the
and there's
dawning?
a direct battle this here in Houston on what is it, 4th of July, Saturday?
Yes, sir.
CONCACAF versus Africa, CAF, right? So if Canada beats Morocco, that would be a huge boost to the region. It's not the be all end all, obviously, because again, like I said, I think they have to get a little further ahead in the bracket. But these kind of direct matchups would certainly help. I mean, it's kind of like college football, right? SEC versus Big Ten, and that's those kind of direct matchups in the bowl game that gets you a lot of recognition.
But talk about a dark horse right there. I like how Morocco plays. They are so aggressive. They have great pace, technically they're really sound. The scheme wise, they have really good discipline. I like how they played. I mean, they just pulled it off the other day. But man, what they were able to show us, I could think that they could make a deep run here. And Canada could lose. They can play a good game and lose, and I still salir con la cara en alto, as we say. But for Mexico, and the U.S. again, they always talk about the process, right? Proceso, the cycles, and the thing is that nobody had predicted coming in that Mexico was going to do as well as they have now, and obviously playing well. You could always win a game and then just get away with it. They've progressively played better because when you talk about procesos, Aguirre, he was on his way out. Everybody's already ready for Marquez to take a spot. He's the heir apparent, but. Do you need to make a change now? The same thing with Pochettino. Pochettino, apparently he's in talks now. They may want to keep him for another cycle. So who's going to break that cycle and who's going to trip themselves in the progress that they make in this World Cup? Again, Mexico is always so quick to make changes, as if the only alternative is to win the World Cup or to win the tournament, and now we just break the cycle all over again. We start almost from scratch every time. So who's going to have the discipline now coming out of this World Cup to maintain the process, the system, the scheme, the idea of what you want to do? I would imagine that if money's no object, and if the U.S. makes
money's
a good
no
run
object.
here, semifinals, yeah, money's not going to be an object. So Pochettino can really just say, give him a blank check and let him continue the success, because nothing, if they do make that run, the U.S. has never done anything like it. So, but who's more likely to break that cycle or break that momentum? Is it Mexico or the U.S.? I think it's Mexico who's ready to, even if that has a good run. Aguirre may be out regardless because everybody's already ready for Marquez to take the position.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be the plan. That was the blueprint, right? Where this was kind of almost like Ochoa got his honoring. This was the homenaje for Aguirre to get one last World Cup and it'd be at home, and obviously he has got the experience, and maybe it's a bit of a safety zone, but it's sort of the tutelage to Marquez, and that he would take the next process over. So, I think that's sort of the plan now. But again, Mexico, kind of rips up these plans whenever they feel like it. So there's never any guarantees. And then, with the U.S., there was no guarantees that Pochettino, was going to stay, a long time. Certainly, you think he has aspirations to coach in Europe. Is he even the type of coach to want to hang around for the next 4 years? And again, that's the other thing, because this World Cup's not going to erase a lot of the things that have been question marks within any of these federations. Morocco's pumped money into their development, and they're probably one of the nation in Africa has pumped the most money across youth, across their national teams. Like I said, money's no object, or should be no object, to the U.S. and Mexico. Canada, even, you would think, just because they're an advanced country, but it seems like they got some troubles of their own. But Mexico has done everything to basically neuter the sport and commercialize it, kind of like FIFA has done a little bit with this World Cup. But any way you can think of it, there's a way to get a sponsor. Mexico will do it. There's no promotion relegation. People have talked about that. The youth development now, they got to look to the United States to get some players that have got some professional experience, because they're not doing it in their domestic league. But in that sense, this is the most Mexican World Cup in a while, because we'll wing it. We'll wing it, and it's working out. And again, and Aguirre has talked about, his own journey, right? Where he's always kind of the second choice. He's never really first choice. He's always the firefighter, the bombero. It's like, hey, we need somebody last minute. Hey, Javier, do you want to do it? And he's talked about that going up to this World Cup. He's like, in 2002, they called me to step in. The same thing in 2010, and the same thing now. He's like, I had no intentions of coming back to the national team, but here I am, and I'm glad to be there. But it's not, it's not the conventional way. But the Mexican way to do it is not the conventional way.
But Victor and Enrique, but does winning solve everything? You just mentioned, Victor, earlier, getting to the quarterfinals is kind of the Mexico and United States get to the quarterfinals, which is not beyond reach, which is very reasonable. Does that mean, and I think it was you, Enrique, that brought this up. No, it was Victor, I think, that brought it up last night. Forgive me. It was one of you. Every day runs together. Does this solve the youth? Does this now solve the youth system in the United States just like that? Does this solve the politics in Mexico just like that? Does this solve promotion and relegation in Mexico just like that? meaning literally we're 2 wins away for each of these countries to now be successful top 10 nations in football and soccer, and everything changes because of one tournament. The problems, and I'll go with you first, Enrique, are deep rooted when it comes to the youth systems. There's still this whole issue of promotion and relegation in Mexico that will never be fixed. MLS still has its issues. There's still issues of inclusion. Does that just disappear with winning at the World Cup?
Well, I mean, I think it's two different problems, really, when you start to think about, okay, the problem of player development is to fill up MLS rosters with quality and depth and to elevate the level of the league with local U.S.-born talent. The problem of the national team isn't that. The creme de la creme of U.S. soccer talent gets developed in Europe. So I think that's going to continue to be the case. And if they want to develop them there and pay them better and produce better soccer talent that just happens to come from the U.S., then that's fine. Sure. I don't think we're going to have the problem of the U.S. national team can't find talent to fill their roster. I think that's going to be okay, and it will continue to be okay, and it's been fine. Look at the roster now, and nobody's complaining, especially now with naturalized citizens that can fill roster, and that's accepted by pretty much everybody. The problem for developing talent is to fill up MLS rosters and make the league more competitive, and that's going to take a while. And that's where maybe more teams and more franchises have to pick up the pace. I mean, locally the Dynamos. It's been a while since they produced a local talent that's been consistent and reached national team status, and that just hasn't been the case throughout the history that the Dynamo has had here in Houston. So they're amongst the franchises that have to pick it up and really find a way to produce talent. Because I mean, my goodness, Alex, you know better than I do. There's plenty of youth soccer talent here in Texas, in the city of Houston, and they just haven't been able to find it.
They definitely have not. And now under Pat Olmstead, under this new administration, if you will, things have changed, and I think it's headed in a better direction. But yes, that's one of the issues. Victor, let me go to you though. Does all this go away, including the youth development part, with winning? Does that then does that legitimize whatever's
it gets
happening?
quieted?
Yeah.
It gets quieted certainly the deeper you go into the tournament. And listen, right now, there's talks in Germany and I'm sure the Netherlands too about do they have to rip it up and change it up in the youth game with their current systems because Germany didn't go further in the tournament, or because the Netherlands didn't go further in the tournament. So, and sometimes it's not that drastic either, right? Sometimes it could just be the coach and the current crop of players weren't the right squad to take. So,
or sometimes it could be a question of our decision.
Yeah. So I mean, and again, sometimes it's a tournament that only lasts a month, and if you get hot at the right time, I mean,
true.
I think that's for the powers that be to hopefully analyze and know what needs to be addressed. But no, I mean, Mexico still has certain of its problems, and I think we'll find that out as the tournament goes on, and because essentially those problems will be exposed at some point when they face some other nations. But it also has to do with the feeling, right? I mean, if they crash out of the round of 16, but they leave a feeling that I don't know. Let's say it's England on that day was just head and shoulders above, but Mexico tried or something. Or, if Mexico were to get to the quarterfinals, but they, really give off the sense that they underperformed. I mean, it also has to do with how people perceive that result to be, right?
Sure.
Again, the U.S. and Mexico could get to the same, end point, but which one did it feel like they had a bigger chance to get to the next round? Like if the U.S.'s result comes down to like what you just said, a referee decision, you're like, no, the U.S. was there. But this is what caused, this is what held them back. It was out of their control. I mean, this is all the things that play into the emotions of a World Cup. But no, by no means does it fix all the problems. But it does quiet a lot of doubters when you do good results, and we do know that.
It does. By the way, good morning for those of you that are still with us. We really appreciate it. We've crossed the midnight hour. So that's yesterday's match, by the way, Mexico, Ecuador. Let's quickly talk about some of the other matches. Victor, I'll have you talk a little bit about Cote d'Ivoire and Norway. This match up in Arlington, and just a quick video here put together by, shot by Katie, and of course put together by Grant. But again, another match where Holland scoring another goal, and the Norwegians continue rowing.
Yeah, they continue to look like a dark horse candidate, and we're going to see now what kind of trouble they can cause. They got a tall task, maybe I don't know, with Brazil. But again, maybe that's just the power of the jersey. Maybe Brazil can be beaten. Maybe with a player like Holland, maybe Norway can cause the upset. So it's exciting to see, especially because in the World Cup you want to see star players perform, and Holland certainly did that today. Got the winning goal. Again, didn't let it go to extra time or even penalties. Decided it there, and for again, basically all these games except today. Remember Canada won it late. Brazil here won it late to avoid extra time. The other two games went the distance and went to penalties. This one again got solved late. And then, so a lot of exciting moments here, and it's just around the 32. So you wonder what's in store for us in the next couple of weeks.
We will see. Any comments quickly, Enrique, about the game at Arlington?
No, other than I asked you earlier, it's like how many games is Dallas going to have? Seems like half the tournament's been played there, and also
9.
I saw
they have the most
like,
of anybody.
I know, right? But the thing is this: I mean, it's an excellent facility, and when you consider that the championship is going to be in New York, obviously the city and all that implies. But I mean, to protect it from the environment, wouldn't it have been better option to just bring it back to Dallas or Los Angeles for that matter so that weather isn't an issue at all? I don't know. It's just a beautiful facility. I mean, I know they're from Dallas, and we're not supposed to like them here from Houston, but man, that's been a really impressive venue. And you look at MetLife Stadium; it's not even bigger than Dallas Stadium, but it just looks so generic when you see it on the live shots.
We
in MetLife.
Maybe we're past it in many ways.
Yeah.
Enrique, I'll stick with you. Let's talk about the other match that also took place today. France rolling, Mbappe continuing to score. This really wasn't even close. Your thoughts on what we see from France, again, continuing to be one of the favorites?
Now, man, when you have playmakers like that, the goal that Mbappe scores in traffic, weaving around defenders, and not only that, but to have the clear head to pull off the shot, the quick trigger, and in a short amount of space to be able to just create that opportunity. I don't know how many other players can get that shot off, much less put it in, score. Yeah. That guy is just so impressive. And when you have a difference maker like that, then you have a puncher's chance to win it all. And that's why France is such a favorite team.
They continue, Victor, being the favorites, and they demonstrated it. It was way too easy to me in the round of 32. Maybe they'll get a little bit more competition. But your thoughts on this French team that continues to roll?
No, they certainly look like a superstar team, like maybe the favorites to win it all. Obviously, we can't discount that they got to the final of the last two editions. They won in 2018. They were runners up in 2022. But yeah, they seem to have the best players, and again, you wonder if at some point there's a remedy for this, and maybe Paraguay might have it. The way they just fought against Germany, I don't know if they have enough to overtake the Stars of France, but that certainly makes it an intriguing matchup.
Speaking of stars, Enrique Vasquez, Mbappe now with 6 goals, equaling Messi. And Holland obviously still scoring. These are the top scores thus far. I sense here Mbappe, Messi, all 5. Sorry, all 5 on the list can continue scoring, Enrique. This gets really interesting here.
Yeah, 10 goals to the Frenchman. Man, that's just impressive. And you mentioned about obviously France. If they play anybody else in the final 4 years ago, they probably pick up another world title, right? If there isn't another guy named Messi on the other side of the field, maybe Mbappe's coming in here to defend his title once again. So yeah, they've looked good. They've looked good. So I mean, it's an impressive list, and the fact that you can change a game with 2 guys and that just on their own can create, that gives you such a big advantage.
Victor, your thoughts on whether or not this tally continues to grow?
I think it will. There's probably no question about that, and it might be the biggest one. Again, because of the extended format, the extra game, and again, you just hope you can get some more guys jumping in this race. I don't know if our guy Cristiano is going to be able to put up these kinds of numbers at his age, but if you can make it interesting with a few more guys in this race, I think that would obviously add more to the closing stage of the World Cup.
Do we then have to come back and put an asterisk on this because if they have more levels, more opportunities to play more games? Is that a thing or no?
I don't think so, Enrique Vasquez. I mean, you're saying like the home run, the home run era where, the asterisk because of
not so much that, but now in baseball, for instance, there's another level of playoff games. There's just an additional round,
which can
you're
pad
playing
your
more
stats,
games.
right? Your stats can increase, your numbers, your home runs, for instance. Victor, I don't think that has been raised much, right? That now you could potentially have an added game in the overall competition.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll. I don't think it'll be that way just because it's still the World Cup. And this thing might even continue to expand, so it might not even matter.
Yeah.
But I think you can put it in context with some of the earlier editions when you want to compare to the older days and what some of those guys did. But I think
don't make fun of us older guys, okay, Victor?
No, well, I mean, at some point we talked about it. I mean, Messi now has the record, but I mean, Mbappe's probably gonna take that over, if not in this edition, then the next one.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about local in Houston. Enrique Vasquez, more than 20,000 fans coming out to watch the Mexico versus Ecuador match, round of 32. It was packed once again, Enrique.
Well, it was, and that's what we were talking about earlier before we started. Is I wonder if what is it now, up to maybe 60, 70,000 people that have come out to watch matches at Shell Energy. How many of those, I wonder, Victor, are season ticket holders for the Dynamo? How many have go to games regularly? How many
I would imagine
into the stadium for the first
list
time?
is long. I wouldn't imagine it goes over 100, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it certainly. The crazier thing to me is they've sold out more of and granted it's a free entrance, right? But they've gotten more people to these things than any of the Dynamo games. Because I think they only had one sellout. That was against LAFC. So, and I'm sure they must be breaking records in concessions. It's just to watch the TV. They don't even gotta do anything to the grass.
Hey, just that weather delay probably sold a couple more thousand beers there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta wait.
There you go. Yeah, that was a nice little gesture for the restaurants and everybody around the world.
I hope that the Dynamo in some way are taking advantage of all these people being in their building to endear them to the franchise. That's what we've been always talking about. I want the Dynamo to succeed in the city. It just makes it for a more vibrant sports community. And it's been a while since they've been successful winning MLS titles, but beyond that, it's good. It's good for the game, and I want them to succeed. I just hope that somehow they were able to capture some of these fans, potential fans, and are able to bring them back once the season kicks off again.
These are all potential fans, potential customers, however you want to phrase it. For me, I mean, there's no, and this is just Mexico. I mean, but I think you can say there was a lot of locals in all the World Cup games and certainly all the watch parties around town. There's no doubt in my mind that this could be one of the best MLS and NWSL markets. And then again, hopefully this is an eye opener for things to head in a better direction for those clubs.
It has the potential. We'll continue talking about the legacy of the World Cup in Houston, in particular, relative to all levels, the professional down to the youth level. It's again, I see it as an opportunity here. It's just how it gets played out. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit quickly about tomorrow's matches. And Enrique, I think for many of us, we're talking about CONCACAF. We're talking about the three host nations. For Mexico, it's going to be very interesting to see what England can do. Belgium, Senegal, intriguing, but I think we're all focused on the match in San Francisco, USA versus Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, and Pulisic, saw an interview today. He's full to 100%. He didn't go out and say, "Yeah, I'm starting," but he's going to play. He's going to start. And if any indication of what we saw the last 30 minutes of the last match of what he has to offer, I think he's good to go. And he's going to try to be the difference maker that he was when he was on the field in that opener against Paraguay. So if that's the case, then you have an attacker who was able to do to Paraguay that nobody was able to do the Paraguay in their last match. So maybe the U.S. are real in that they can create chances and they can dictate the pace of a game. And if that's the case, you like their chances against Bosnia-Herzegovina tomorrow. So, and if that's the case, then again, you continue to build on a roll and continue to build confidence for a team that started off with not much, maybe, or not much expectations, but it's been a pleasant surprise so far, and it's proven to be, man, that they do have something real that nobody was able to duplicate against Paraguay. Again, just a benchmark, a test sample that what they were able to do that can win you a lot of games.
We cannot dismiss, Victor, Bosnia and Herzegovina. They're a team that can grind it out. Physical team, a disciplined team. Could this be a letdown for the United States tomorrow? I'm personally hoping it isn't, for all the reasons we've discussed. Might this be the shocker in the round of 32, where we are all expecting something, and man, we get deflated? I hope not. I really don't. But is there an out? There's always a chance. Is there a real chance that might happen?
Well, it can, but again, the U.S. have to, in many ways that Mexico did tonight, take the game for themselves, be aggressive from the beginning, start to put it out of reach early,
right?
Make the home field, be a factor, and we'll see. I think again, everybody, because we want it so much, we're hoping that tomorrow's not the end. Because again, if tomorrow is the end of the road, it I don't want to say completely discredits, but it throws into trash all the work you did to this point, right? That great victory over Paraguay in the beginning, those are nice memories, but it didn't amount to anything if you don't come here and win this game and get further into the tournament.
I don't expect that. Enrique, what's your prediction relative to the United States and Bosnia-Herzegovina tomorrow?
They may be a nail biter, 2-1 type of win, that they have to grind out at the end, control, and show that they have grown as a team. And not only that, but grown within this World Cup. They weren't able to hold the tie here in their last match in the group stage. So that they have to, show you that the professionalism that they can ride out a lead. But the thing is this, you're going to come back with a whole different lineup that's rested, that knows what the game plan is going to be. They've been able to have time now to prepare this match. So I like my chances. I like the chances that the U.S. have tomorrow to pull it out and advance and then see what happens down the road. But it's not going to be easy, like you said.
Your prediction on that match, Victor?
Yeah, I think it's a U.S. win.
I agree with both of you, and for many reasons, I think the United States should continue. England, to me, also goes through Enrique Vasquez, but I see Senegal. Ojo, careful. This could be, to me, quote unquote, an upset or an African team continuing on. Give me your last two predictions there. First, you, Enrique, please. England, Congo, and then Belgium, Senegal.
I'm going to go with Belgium in that first one, and then England. For England, this will be, if I'm not mistaken, the first game back at Azteca since the Mano de Dios, right? They have an extra grind in that building against the home side. So, man, it's going to be a big opportunity.
This one's in Atlanta, so it's not it'll be air conditioning.
Yeah.
But it would set up the return to the Azteca if they go through.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm already jumping the gun. They're going to win tomorrow, and they're going to face Mexico.
That's all I want. That's all I wanted. You were way ahead of me already.
Yeah, that's so people.
Yeah. So I didn't say who wins the World Cup, Enrique Vasquez.
I'm already going ahead, and hopefully that's not what they're thinking, and they stumble tomorrow. But I think they're going to win tomorrow. And then just for me, that's the matchup that I want to see. Mexico, England at Azteca. That's going to be, man. That's going to be a matchup.
That there's a lot of history there. Victor, quickly, England, Congo, Belgium versus Senegal.
Yeah, I think England, and we'll see how impressive they are. They have to put a better showing to kind of take away some doubts. And I'm going to say Senegal. I think Belgium's been a bit disappointing, and surely they can win this one. But I think Senegal They were in a tough group. I know they're tagged as a third place team, but maybe they got something to improve here. And I think, like we were talking about, iron sharpens iron. And in the same way where the U.S. has to be looking at Mexico and even Canada and saying, well, these guys got this far, we can't stay behind. Remember, Senegal they had the African Cup of Nations taken away on paper, right, given to Morocco when they won it on the field. They got to be thinking, hey, we got to keep this going. And I don't know if maybe there's a semifinal matchup there, rematch. We'll see. But I think Senegal has some motivation to keep it going.
Friends, thanks to all of you that are joining us as we kind of wrap up this morning. By the way, we're already into the morning, so our longest show, at least in ending times. You're kind of seeing...
Victor, we get to put in for overtime this time.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Exactly. Good luck with that. We're seeing the bracket coming together. Big day for United States tomorrow, so we'll come on the air after that match. In the evening. That'll be the last match, I believe, 7 o'clock start, unless there's some kind of weather issues like today in Mexico City. But you're kind of starting to see the trends, the movements, Mexico coming through, Canada coming through. It'll be interesting what happens next with England and other faces. And, of course, we still have Argentina that need to play, and it's continuing to build. Enrique, a quick comment on the bracket thus far as we wrap up the show.
I mean, looks good. Some strong teams that are on pace, like we mentioned about France, like the run that they're probably on poised to make at this point. And Brazil finally starting to show glimpses of what they can be, and picking up a win against a feisty Japan side without Neymar. Is he going to be a factor the rest of this tournament? And what difference can he make if he does get on the pitch?
Good questions. Victor, as you see the bracket, what are your thoughts here as we wrap up?
We're getting some nice matchups up ahead. Brazil, Norway, again, Paraguay, France. I think we're getting some enticing matchups. So I think it's only going to continue. And I wouldn't put it past that we're still due for a few surprises here. So we'll see who gets upset in the coming days.
We like upsets, but we also want some of our favorite teams to continue on, and Colombia, ojo with them. I think that could also be a very interesting run. We've got to go, friends. It's early in the morning. Thanks to all of you that are following us. Victor, I'll start with you. A final comment here before we say buenos dias, actually, not buenas noches.
Yeah, again, a few more matchups tomorrow. I think obviously we're all looking at that England game, but I mean, can Congo make it interesting? Up ahead, we got Portugal, Croatia to look forward to, Colombia, Ghana. So, it'll be a nice, interesting days coming up.
Always great to have you on the show, Victor. We appreciate it. Don Enrique Vasquez, something to close.
I mean, it's going to be a really downer 4th of July weekend if the U.S. doesn't win tomorrow. So they just can't. They just can't drop the game in a row. This is their chance. Once again, they've captivated the minds or the eyeballs of the sports world here in the U.S. even alone. And that would be a big step. But I mean, if they drop the game tomorrow, it's like we go back to the same thing with U.S. soccer. How cute! And we don't worry about soccer here in the States until next 4 years.
Yeah, we can't have that. I'm getting good vibes. I see one upset tomorrow potentially, but not necessarily the United States. I'm just saying, out of the three, that's what I'm feeling from the netherworld. I'll call it from my crystal ball. Let's call it that. So anyway, all right, friends, we've got to go. It's early, it's late, depending on when you're watching, how you're watching. If you're watching us live, we really do appreciate you joining us. It's been a long day, but you know what? The World Cup comes only once every 4 years, and Victor reminds me of this all the time. We'll have time to sleep in a couple of days, so we'll hang in there. So, friends, on behalf of our production staff, on behalf of Victor, on behalf of Enrique, I'm Alex. Thanks for joining us. Please have a great rest of your day, because it's just starting for some of you. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Have a great day. Take care.